everybody, and welcome to a Down Under Centre Migrating to Australia podcast. My name is Wes Zant, and today I'm joined by Ryan and Christie. So, Ryan and Christie, welcome.
Hi there.
Hi.
So, you guys have taken the leap of faith and have arrived in Australia where you're applying for your visa while you're onshore. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
So, this is a good little podcast because we've got lots of clients that are thinking about doing this and making the move to get out to Australia, probably earlier than the usual process, Ryan and Christie, where your visa gets granted. So you guys have arrived. So it's got your invitation to apply. You arrived in Australia on a tourist visa. You then accepted your invitation to apply, and now you're waiting the 3 months before you can go onto a bridging visa. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the so we'll start at the very start, guys. So Ryan, you're the main applicant, and you're a carpenter by memory. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And who's in the family, guys?
Just the two of us. So just me and Christie, and no
Yep.
kids as of yet, anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah. No worries. And Christie, what do you do for work?
So I'm hospitality. I've done a bit of retail as well, but mainly hospitality.
Okay. And so let's go back right to the very start. So whose idea was it to make the move to Australia?
Mine, Christie's.
Yeah. Christie was the one that mentioned it, but yeah, I'd always fancied Australia as well.
Yeah, cool. And have you been to Australia before?
Yeah, well, in September 2018, we went out and done a working holiday visa out there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, arrived in Cairns, had a couple of weeks holiday, done a camper van tour down through Queensland for 3 weeks down to Brisbane, a couple of weeks there, and then went down to Coffs Harbour.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Christie, were you with Ryan at the time? Did you do the same thing?
Yeah, we did it together. Yeah,
So how long have you guys been together for, guys?
10 years.
yeah. 10 years in December.
Nice. And whereabouts in the UK you're from?
Well, I'm from the Scottish borders, just a small town, a small village called Ayton. It's right on the Scottish border.
And I'm from a place called Hexham, which is near Newcastle.
So how did you guys meet 10 years ago?
Well, we always tell people that we met on the border. With my village being such a small village, we didn't have like a nightclub or anything, so we used to actually get a taxi across the border into the town that Christie was living in, and met her there at the nightclubs.
Nice. So, and how long ago did you start the migration journey?
July 21, I think, was when we joined the DUC.
I've got here that you joined on the 14th of the 7th, 2022.
Oh, that must be
that'll
it
be
then.
right then.
22, yeah, sorry. Mixed up with my years.
Great. All right, cool. So, Ryan, you being the main applicant, so you had to complete a skills assessment as a carpenter. You
Yeah.
had to do your English test. So, let's run through that. So, how did you find the skills assessment as a carpenter?
Some parts more difficult than others. I think it was more just the time of getting the documents together was the biggest thing. One of the things was I didn't have all my pay slips going back over the years. So I had to get bank statements, load them into the computer and put them into quarterly statements and stuff. So it was very time consuming.
And were you self-employed and employed?
Just employed. Yeah, always been on the books for companies, never been self-employed.
And what sort of carpentry work were you doing back in the UK?
Mostly residential. The company that I worked for they'd done a lot of work for estates around the Scottish borders, so got a lot of sort of big stately homes and things like that, or just houses and things in the local towns. Mostly doing renovation work. I did do some sort of commercial work when I was over in New Zealand when we were over there. But in the UK, yeah, mostly residential.
All right. So the first part of the skills assessment, I always reckon, is the hardest part for tradies. We had to get photos, videos, references, pay documents, tax documents, and you need with a relevant qualification, you need a minimum of 3 years, and without a qualification, you need 5 years. So, did you already have was it be SVQ level 3?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't actually have my qualifications. So when I left school, I just started working for my dad.
Yep.
Learned through him. Worked for him
Yep.
for 10.5 years. Learning the
It's
trade through him.
Yeah, it's so common that, mate, that yeah, you get it. So you had to provide a minimum of 5 years for your skills assessment, but we actually tried to gather 11 years so we could get the
Yeah,
first 3 years as class as training and 8 years in the last 10 years to give you maximum points for work experience. So obviously getting the 11 years, were you able to get all the 11 years?
yeah. That managed to get enough together for that time. As I say, working with my dad, I was able to get stuff from him. And luckily, the employer that employed me just before I left the UK was my employer before I left the UK too. I just went back to the same company, so I was able to get a lot of stuff through them as well. So it worked out perfect. The
Oh,
fact that I'd
100%. It
only
makes it so much easier when you're employed getting the documents. Self-employed's obviously a bit more harder.
yeah
Obviously, people earn a bit of cash as well, so it's sort of hard to get that. But we need all the documents so we can get you the maximum points. So that's good. And with the technical interview side, mate, how did you find that?
Yeah, I was quite I don't know, a bit anxious about doing the technical interview at first. I'd spoke to a few people on the
Mhm.
DUC page about it, who had basically reassured me if you know what you're doing, it'll be just simple, which so it gave me a bit more confidence in it. And when it came to it, yeah, it was okay. The guy asked a few questions about stuff that I'd put in. I was able to give him good answers. He was happy with what I'd given him. Had a bit of a chit chat kind of thing. Yeah, no, it ended up pretty good actually in the end.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Now let's talk about the English test, mate. How'd you go in the English test?
Um, so I'd done it the first time round. Was maybe a bit too quick on doing it. With not too much revision for it. And I just failed to get the pass marks. On I think I
Okay.
was like a couple of points out on one section and a few points out on the next. But I
And the
went,
target, mate, was getting the 10 points, was getting
yeah,
proficient English. Was that the target?
yeah. I thought if I could get that, if I needed to redo it to get the higher points, then I could do it. But yeah, just aiming for the 10 at first was the most important thing.
All right. So you missed out on that and then you went back and had another crack at it?
Yeah, had another go at it. This time a lot better. So I can't remember my exact points, but I think two of the sections were on the 20-point mark. One was just
Yeah.
I think the other two were just below as well, actually.
All right. So you get the score you need. Obviously, you're dealing with Trish, one of our registered migration agents who's
Yeah,
processing your visa. So, what obviously on the DUC club, and we get it a lot where immigration's been a bit slow, you have the opportunity to applying onshore.
yeah.
What was part of the decision, Christy, with that to apply onshore?
We just couldn't wait to get out, and we wanted to leave the UK, and we needed the sun, so we're like, we're definitely lodging on shore. We kind of said that from day one. If that was an option, we were definitely going to do that. So that was like the main reason.
Yeah, nice, nice. And whereabouts are you now? Where you calling? Well, like obviously you're in Australia, but whereabouts in Oz?
So we're in a place called Waikiki, just near Perth.
Hmm.
Yeah, just south
And
of
you're
that.
liking it in Waikiki?
Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely different to what we're used to. It's quite quiet, but everyone's really friendly. So you can't pass anyone without them saying morning or hello. So that's really nice. It's really welcoming.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really nice for that.
Yeah, it
The
is.
beaches are amazing as well.
Yeah. So, how long ago? Like, when did you arrive in Australia, guys?
We arrived the 11th of
June.
June.
All right. So you're quite fresh with it because again, it is such an interesting thing. So for the listeners out there, when you put in an expression of interest, you've got to accept the invitation by. Sorry, you put an expression of interest, and then you then get an invitation to apply. So you got your invitation to apply, and then you guys came on the tourist visa. And when you arrived in Australia, you accepted that invite. And what are the working requirements and everything like that, guys? When can you start working and all that sort of stuff?
Yes. So we arrived on the 12th of June into the country. So like we've got the 3 months tourist visa. So we have our bridging visas that came through with our after putting in the application. So we can start on the 12th of September. Start work then. So that's after the 3 months tourist visa runs out.
Okay. And financially, like obviously, without working for a few months, migrating, and getting yourselves over, did you bring like furniture over, or did you just come in like suitcases, or how'd you manage that?
We've just come with like a suitcase each and hand luggage, and we just sold everything before we left.
Yeah.
And we've not brought anything, to be honest, apart from clothes. So yeah.
I find one of the I would say issues, but it's very hard for the team to advise people, do you do the right thing by applying onshore or offshore and everything like that? And but financially and everything like that, obviously you guys would have had discussions. Do you set yourself a budget of what you can spend per day or per week, or did you find yourself in a position where you had enough money in the background to? It was never really an issue with the 3 months no work.
Well, we had as soon as we arrived back. So we arrived back in the UK during the pandemic, and our thoughts were actually to go and do a couple of years in Canada before deciding where we're going to go. But because of the pandemic, it run me short of the age for it, because it was 18 to 30 at the time. So at that point, we just decided to start saving for Australia. So the plan was just live quiet, save money, and have enough so that when the opportunity came to head out here, we could take it, plus the selling of all the furniture and things like that we had, and car and stuff all went into a budget for coming out here.
So you don't have to answer this, guys, but when you say that you're not going to work for 3 months, a young couple, what was 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 it 10 grand, 20 grand, 5 grand, 40 grand? What was it in Australian dollars that was your mark that that you feel comfortable with surviving the 3 months with, obviously with the cost of getting set up in Australia as well?
Yeah. So it was, we kind of thought if we got about $40,000 behind us, then we would have enough, more than enough, if we budgeted well and, property like rental wise and things like that, until we actually got jobs on the bridging visa.
And was it hard getting a rental, guys, without having a guaranteed income coming in?
So at the moment, we're in an Airbnb at the moment. We just booked that before we left, and we booked a couple months. So we had something booked and paid for. So we weren't spending that money when we were here. It was already paid for. And we're actually moving over to the Sunshine Coast in August, and I've kind of secured a rental there. He normally has it on Airbnb, but he's given it to us kind of as a rental. So we've actually landed really lucky with that. I just seen him on Facebook.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a permanent rental, we've not really looked into it yet, to be honest. We're just kind of winging it.
Yeah, we got a good deal on the Airbnb.
So was there a reason? Okay, cool. And was there a reason, Ryan and Christie, why you decided to arrive in WA, but it looks like you're going to settle in on the sunny coast?
Well, mostly it was because when we spent our year in Australia, we seen a lot of the East Coast, and we got as far west as Melbourne. So we never actually got over to WA, and a lot of people, we see a lot of people on the DUC and online talking about how nice WA is and stuff. So we thought, well, we couldn't really rule it out until we'd seen it. So that was partly the reason why we came to WA, to see it before we actually made the decision.
Okay. And now you've made the decision to get the sunny coast. Christie mentioned that you've got a property, like a Airbnb that they're going to let you, go a bit more long term. When did you decide that moving over to the sunny coast was going to be part of your plan to start work and living over there?
Well, it was always kind of before we left. It was always kind of the WA or the Sunshine Coast. We enjoyed the Sunshine Coast when we were out there.
Yeah.
So, well, for me anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Christie was the same. So, yeah, it was always the thing that would do that. And yeah, just I think Sunshine Coast just feels more like us than what WA does.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Because they are all parts of Australia, but the sunny coast has got. I really like the sunny coast. I love WA as well, but I think it's very different sort of living and different sort of style of living. Yeah, the sunny coast is obviously, for me, I feel it's a lot more laid back in that way as well. A lot
Yeah.
less effort into lifestyle over there. You're pretty much just
Yeah.
wearing shorts and t-shirts all year round, and there's lots of opportunities with work as well. It's kind of the sunny coast is where lots of people from Melbourne, where I'm dialing in from, go and have holidays, and same with Perth as well. But it's it definitely is a beautiful part of the world. Is there a specific area in the sunny coast you guys are heading to?
Well, our Airbnb that we're going to be renting, that's in Sunshine Beach, up by Noosa. But we're not really tied to that area as such. For getting like a permanent rental.
Yeah, it's good. It's good you're being able to sort of to wing it, I guess, in certain way, like rock up in Perth, see if you like it, and then start looking at a place. But I guess with the question I was trying to get at before was, how long were you in WA before you decided that you wanted to start pursuing the rentals on the Sunshine Coast?
I think we sort of, I think it was me said it about maybe a week and a half. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I think this isn't for us. It's a hard decision to make because when you're not working here, I don't think you get as good of a feel when you're not working, and like for making friends and stuff. So it's
100%.
quite difficult. But yeah, it was. I think I just said it a couple of weeks ago, and we both agreed. So
I think Christie's obsessed with animals, and I think Steve Irwin's zoo being over there, I think, making her change her mind.
Yeah. Well, it's an awesome part. Like I said earlier,
yeah,
it's really hard. Like, guys, we get asked the question a lot: is it worth going on a holiday first before you work out where you want to live? And I always weigh up that the cost of a holiday and flights and all that. For example, you guys coming from the UK, costs on a holiday and all the money that you spend on sort of coming here on a recce, as it's known in the industry, that actually costs the same as, well, probably more than what your visas and flights and all that costs anyway. To come over here. So I really like the way that you guys have gone about it. Given WA a couple of weeks to know, but is returning back to WA off the cards, or you just want to give a good 6 months, or in your mind is it 6 months or a year on the Sunshine Coast, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'd say we'll definitely. I don't know if we'd come back to WA or not, but because it's hard.
I would definitely
visit
WA again. I don't know.
Yeah, we'd definitely visit again.
What is it about WA for you that's like doesn't feel like home at the moment? What's the difference? Do you feel?
It's hard. It's hard. I think it's just very quiet compared to like the East Coast. I feel like there's a lot more going on over on the East Coast. We like to be in like a sort of smaller community, but still like close enough to a lot going on kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you can have your quiet days, but you've also got a lot going on. But I feel like in WA, you maybe have to travel a bit further to get to something, happening in the place.
Probably sounds more like an interrogation, this podcast, but what would be? Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I should have warned you about that. But I'm really intrigued with it because I think what you guys have done is taken a really good risk of coming out here and then waiting on shore for your visa to be granted, because we get lots of people that want to do it, and sometimes it does end in tears. There's the uncertainty of when you can start work, and when you're spending money, not earning money, it's challenging, and it really depends on the individual, the couple, of their way of life. But when I was in WA, I actually felt the same, Ryan, that coming from Melbourne and always being something to do or something on, I found that WA may have lacked that. But I can obviously see the attraction with the weather and the beauty that WA has for young families to get over there as well. It's it's definitely there, isn't it? You can sort of feel it. And Let's talk about work, Ryan. Have you been looking at jobs and all that? Are you gonna work as a carpenter over here?
Yes, yeah. It's all I've ever done from the moment I left school. I literally finished my last exam on the Thursday, and I started work on the Monday, and that was me until now, working as a carpenter. So yeah, it's definitely something
Yeah, good man.
I'll stick at. Yeah.
And have you looked at is there a financial benefit of you guys working in the sunny coast compared to back home on the border?
Definitely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
The only difference is like the rent and stuff is more expensive here. The Borders is quite a low rent place, which helped with us saving. But over here it's a bit more. But I think the wages kind of balance that as well.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I find that too. I think that the cost of living, sunny coast. I mean, I'm not familiar with where you're living, but if it's on the border and everything, and the rent's quite cheap, and you can save, it's fantastic. But then you can be earning some good money working as a carpenter. I guess one of the benefits too, Ryan, for yourself, mate, is the completion of your skills assessment that we delivered. That you actually
Yeah.
received your full Australian qualification as well. So, at what point do you start hitting up employers and start asking for work? Have you done that, or have you sort of given it like a month before you head out, or what's your thoughts on
Um,
that?
I, I, I've emailed a few people just with my CV and basically explained to them that we're here on a holiday visa, but our bridging visa kicks in on the 12th of September. Um, to see if there was just any work available with them, kind of thing. Um, One got
Yep.
back who said they'll give me a phone call, but that was just like a week ago. And the others are literally in the last 2 or 3 days that I've just sent the email out to them, so I've not heard back yet. But I've been keeping an eye
Yep.
on the likes of Seek app and um, LinkedIn and things like that. Keeping an eye on those for adverts and stuff, and just
And
it's
chat to our
good.
employment team as well. Chat to Lee and Katie because I do know we've got some awesome employers in the sunny coast. I've got one
Yeah.
bloke who's one of our employees out there, and he just keeps sending me, torments me, mate. He keeps sending me pictures. He goes fishing all the time with his kids,
All right.
and he just keeps sending me pictures. So if he listens to it, good on you, mate. But you
Yeah.
put me in a bit of a bit of pain because we're not catching the fish, in Victoria that they're getting over there. But
Yeah.
we've sent a few people for him to sponsor, and they just love it. Like the lifestyle is fantastic. Obviously, the fishing's great. If you ask him,
Yeah.
and he goes out in the back of off his jet ski.
All right.
Like he
Yeah.
takes him and his kids on, and he fishes off the back of the jet ski,
That's
just
cool.
catches huge fish. He's just like, yeah, it's all about the fishing where he lives.
Mhm.
I think sometimes we get in a conversation with the employers and there's a work-life balance in certain areas. We did a podcast the other week about a couple that live in Byron, and the work-life balance was obviously a bit different. I know when I was living in Esperance in the south of WA, and then also Yamba, northern New South Wales, that you'd go for a surf in the morning. If there was good surf during the day, it wasn't uncommon to go for a paddle out and then get back to work. And I
Mm.
definitely see Sunshine Coast being sort of that sort of environment when it comes to fishing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds cool, actually. Yeah.
It is. It's good. It's definitely a lifestyle. So when you're chatting to the employers, what are things that you are trying to get from the employer? Are you trying to get from is it lifestyle? Is it salary? Is it the type of work? What's important to you, mate?
Kind of a bit of everything. Everybody wants everybody wants good money. But yeah, more the lifestyle. I think the majority of people that immigrate out here are moving out to have a better lifestyle, to have that work life balance. Um, Back home in the
Hmm.
UK, people seem to just work and chill out at the house, and you don't really get out because the weather's bad a lot. So I think a lot of people here, when they're coming out
Yeah.
here, they're wanting to do that, have that work life balance where they're now that they can get out the house a lot more.
And how do you feel you're going to get on with the opposite to that, mate? With the like a lot warmer weather and being outside during those hot sunny coast summers. How do you feel you're going to go about that, mate?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it actually because I've spent so many years on a cold building site. I'll be quite happy if I can get some sunshine actually.
Do you go brown, Ryan? Do you tan up, mate?
Yeah, I tan quite well actually. Yeah, we both do. So for being a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes, I actually tan really well. So it's it's not too bad.
I think it makes a big difference too when you're out there and you're getting brown and all that. I used to work with do a bit of roof plumbing with one bloke, and mate, he used to just take his top off at 8 o'clock in the morning and be off till 6 at night, just working away. And geez, he went brown. Myself could not do that. I had to wear like 4 different hats, 16 lotions, apply sunscreen so many times. But yeah, I think you get that sort of, once you start noticing the color and you start feeling good, it definitely helps the day go faster as well, doesn't it? I guess you don't hate working out there because you're feeling good, you're looking good.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed when I done a lot of work in Sydney when we were traveling during that year. We worked in Sydney, and I done a lot of work there. And the guys that I worked with, when it come to like the winter days, they'd be coming in with their hats and gloves on, big coats, and wondering how I was still turning up in shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? My kids were born in the UK, and even now in Melbourne winter, my oldest son Jet still wears shorts every day. He thinks it's cool. That's what you do when you're 8. You wear shorts. I'm like, freezing, mate. But anyway, you sort of do acclimatise to it. And what about yourself, Christie? So, what are your sort of plans? Like, once a day you can sort of start looking for work. Have you got sort of like an industry that you want to get into?
I do love hospitality, but I'm kind of sick of working for other people. So I've always wanted to open up my own cafe, catering company, food truck, that sort of thing. My dad will back me 100% for that. Nice. So that's something I'll look at doing.
Okay, so when you say your dad will back you, so your dad's like an investor, or just sort of saying to his favourite daughter, "Here you go, take some money, go make a shot of it."
No, my dad's definitely my number one investor. He always has been.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. And have you looked into it? I mean, it sounds really good, actually. They get busy too, those food vans and everything like that. Have you sort of thought about what sort of van it's going to be and all that?
I've looked into parts of it, but to be honest, I'm just chilling on holiday at the moment, so I'm trying not to think about work yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you, actually. We'll definitely keep us posted on it, because I think it's good. I think when you're taking the leap of faith and you're migrating from one country to another, that's really a good time to sort of, you've done the hard part. Look, obviously you were the partner of the main applicant, so Ryan, we're not taking away from you, Ryan, with the skills assessment and the English test and everything, but Christie's been part of that process with you. But obviously, when it gets to when you have a choice to make these life-changing decisions, how cool is it to be able to do that when you first arrive, and having an opportunity to do that? So thank you very much, Christie's dad. Have you looked into the cost and all that though? Have you given him a bit of a, Dad, it's going to cost you 20 grand, or is it 40 grand? Is it 100 grand? I'm sure there'd be a bit of money to it, wouldn't there? Or can you just hire one of these carts?
I'd probably buy a food truck. I think I'd probably open up a cafe first, and then I've got a base to kind of cook from. I've not looked too much into it, to be honest. But my dad, like I say, my dad would back me all the way, and he's actually offered Ryan money to open up his own carpenter company as well. He's very generous.
Jeez, what a good man.
Yeah, he's good.
How did he take the news? What's your background, Christie? Like when you went and said, look, you're going to move to the other side of the world, and you guys mentioned before and asked who's in the family, you said just you guys at the moment. So I assume there's talk of kids. How did Dad, the investor, feel about you guys shooting off to the other side of the world?
Yeah, so my dad's always supported us 100%. He's like, just go, that's fine. I can get a holiday every year, but I've actually just been speaking to Vic about getting my dad over, just looking at what sort of visas he can get, because I've just got a single dad, so I'm really, really close to my dad, so I really want him to come over.
Yeah, I bet. And how many siblings do you have?
I've got one brother and a stepbrother as well.
Okay, and your brother is in the UK, or is he in Australia?
No, he's in the UK, my little brother.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, so there'll be some potential options, which is good. And what's his thoughts about coming over to Australia? He likes the idea of it?
I think he does. He kind of chops and changes his mind, to be honest. So it's a bit of a hard one. I think he did say the other day he couldn't imagine his grandkids being over here and him not being over here. So I don't know if that's his way of saying, "Can you hurry up and have children?" or what. But
Yeah. You know, in migration, there's winners and losers, isn't there? Unfortunately.
100%.
And when if your family supports the decisions that you make, it can make life easier. And yourself, Ryan, how did your loved ones back home take the news, mate?
Yeah, I think like everyone, there's always upset about you going, but they've always backed us. All my family members have always backed us to go. My dad always did. He's like a lot of people that I speak to back in the UK that say that when you tell them that you're going, they always say, "Oh, you know, I wish I'd done the same kind of thing."
Yeah.
So my dad's always been in that position where he always wishes he had done it. So he's happy for
Yep.
us. Definitely. He again, like Christie had said about her dad. My dad says as long as there's a room for him in our house, then he's quite happy.
Yeah, they'll be paying rent though.
You'll be paying rent. Love it. So yeah, I always think how crazy it is. You know, like it's actually nuts, isn't it? That the families can pick up and move and go from one side of the world to the other, and how brave it is, and then how upset people get. But then, you know, if you really make a good shot of it, and then all of a sudden a year passes, 2 year passes. I know we've been back in Oz since 2021. And I know for my wife, it was really hard because she travelled Oz for a little bit when she was younger. But obviously she's really close to their mum and her dad and her stepdad and her brother and all that. So like the first 6 months is quite hard. And then now I think it's like you just you get accustomed to, like, I think she chats with her mum on a Sunday and a Wednesday and a Friday. I can usually tell Christie by the amount of wine bottles out the front. When she chats, my wife, with her mum, she likes to have a glass of wine and all that with it. But anyway, yeah, you sort of get like like it just becomes natural to sort of chat via computer. And we've again, so many people that we interviewed with these podcasts probably say they actually speak to their family more when they're in Australia than what they do in the UK, because it's that difference, and you sort of miss them, but you sort of can still get to know that they're happy. And I think that's all that parents want to see, isn't it? That your kids are happy.
Yeah, we live just over an hour from my family, and we lived like 3 hours away from Christie's dad. So it was a lot of the time it was phone calls, text messages to family anyway. When we're back in the UK, you'd see them maybe four or 5 times a year maybe. So we probably are in the same bracket as that, where we've probably talked to them more in the last 3 weeks since we've been over here.
My dad's actually coming over in August. He's already coming to visit us.
Oh wow, good on him.
Yeah,
that's good. It's a good effort. And guys, so you've got a little bit of time left in WA. Is there anything you plan on doing or seeing in Western Australia before you jump on the flight to the sunny coast?
Yeah, well, we've only been into the city a couple of times, so we want to get back into the city a bit more. We've not been to Rottnest Island yet, which we really want to get across to that. What else? Anything else?
Just keep going to the gym.
Yeah, we do the gym most days, so
and lots of walking.
Yeah, I think I'd do the same. I reckon because I think once you get your membership, it's all about not spending money. I spent 3.5 years traveling Australia, and I lived off a budget. So I'd work for, I don't know, a few months, and then try not work for like 6 months and just surf and fish and do whatever. And then you end up becoming the hobby, and your interest becomes in not spending money.
Yeah.
So you have to go to work for a longer period of time.
Yeah, well, we've always
you sort of get to that point. Are you at that point now, or?
Yeah, we've always.
Sorry, say that again.
We've always been into our walking, so we go out for long walks all the time back home as well. So it was always that was always the thing when we came over here. We thought, well, we'll not spend a lot of money if we're walking, because as Christie says, it's free. So that was one thing. We went to one of the national parks, Serpentine National Park, a few weeks ago, and done a big long walk there, which was really nice.
It was only $17 to get in, and you've seen the wild kangaroos and stuff, so it was well worth paying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it is. It's so good, mate. There's nothing better than getting a pack of snags for $5 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
some bread rolls or a thing of bread, and shooting down to the beaches and just get the free barbecues and everything like that. And you just spend the days out there. Like it's so like
Yeah,
it's hard to explain to people
Yeah.
that haven't done it. Um,
Mhm.
but you'll see, and then how tidy and clean the barbecue areas are. Like they're not
yeah,
graffitied, they're clean. Like they're just, it's natural. Like we will often take the kids. Just I don't know. We're quite fortunate. We live quite close to a beach and all that, and it's so easy just to go down there and instead of having the barbie in your back garden, you just walk down to the beach and have the barbie on the beach, and before you know it, the kids start playing with another group of kids, and you're chatting to another mum and dad, and your afternoon's set, and it's cost you a pack of sausages and some bread. So
yeah,
Yeah,
good.
that's it.
yeah. That's the good thing about being so close to the likes of the beaches and stuff. Is when you're being walking distance, you're not spending money just going out for a walk. And like you say, if you don't have to eat out, we'll often make a couple of sandwiches and basically have a picnic
Yeah.
to budget a bit better and stuff.
And we don't drink and we don't smoke, and so we've not got them costs either. And we're not really eating out at
Yep.
night because that's expensive. So I suppose we are budgeting when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah. Cooking, we
Well, you've
just
got to. If you're not earning, you don't have a choice, do
Yeah.
you?
yeah,
No,
no.
yeah.
The only thing that we actually spend money on, I think, every day is coffee because
The coffee's so good,
I love
yeah.
a barista coffee, especially over in Australia. So it's one thing that I don't mind spending the money on.
Would you guys look? You've only been here a little bit, and obviously you got the 3 months to go. And I'm sure we'll have a catch up in 12 months or something like that, and see where you're at to now. But is there anything that you've regretted about any decision for applying onshore at the moment?
Nothing.
Nah,
No
no,
regrets at
n-
all.
never regretted it. As I say, we always felt like when we were back in the UK, we actually felt homesick from Australia. It was a kind of case of as soon as we could get out, we'd get out and just enjoy the time that we've got here.
We will catch up in 6 months, 12 months, guys. But what are you looking to gain from being in Oz? Obviously, we've got, potentially cafe opening, going back to work as a carpenter and all that. And you mentioned the gym and everything like that. So what's life going to look like for Ryan and Christy in the next 6 months? What do what targets have you got?
Um, Hopefully, well, I'd like to get into a full time rental, get back working, and probably start saving up for buying a house. I'd like to get on the property
Yep.
market as quick as we can, kind of thing. We've talked about like
Yep.
kids and stuff, and we've always said
Just ask Christy's dad for a loan, mate.
yeah, I
Exactly.
know, yeah. It maybe be too much asking for that too.
I don't know.
Just ask him while you're at it, mate.
Yeah.
Chuck in the house.
So we always said we wanted to get a house bought before we have kids. We don't want to have kids whilst we're still in a rental. So I'd like to get that done.
Yep.
And yeah, sticking at the gym, etc. And yeah, maybe learn how to surf.
Yeah, it's hard. Like you get hit a bit, like depending on where you are in the sunny coast, because sometimes the waves stop certain areas of the sunny coast.
Yeah,
It depends how far up you're going to be. If you're in Noosa and all that, you'll get like you'll get it's more down south. You'll get some good swell.
yeah,
But guys, I just want to thank you for making the time to give the listeners a bit of I don't know, a bit of an insight to Ryan and Christy, because it's really important the fact that you've lodged onshore, which is what so many people are thinking about doing. And for the listeners out there, you've just got to, Ryan and Christy's story is a little bit different because they haven't got the kids to consider as well, which makes it easier. They
yeah,
do live a nice sort of clean lifestyle where walking and all that, and they're being quite good with the money. Plus, we've got the bank of Christie's dad supporting as well, when
Exactly.
required. But it does, like lodging onshore isn't for everybody. It's weird, Ryan and Christy. We've actually had lots of visa grants the last couple of days too, which is good news.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we do know that there's like movement, but we expect July. This is being filmed on the 9th of July. We always see July, August, and September being really busy with invites and grants and everything. But putting that aside, guys, I just want to thank you again for making the time and all that. really wish Australia works. I just know it will, the sort of people that you are from our little conversation now. And guys, these podcasts aren't scripted at all. We do ask the guests to sort of put a few questions they want us to ask them. I don't think I asked any of them this time, did I? I think I've actually thrown every question to you, poor things. But I think that's what's good about it. Just a couple of people having a chat and trying to get to know what it's like being in the shoes of people that are lodging onshore for a young couple.
Yeah, no, definitely. As you say, I don't think it's for everyone, but I think in our situation, like you say, with no kids and stuff, budgeting's a bit easier for us. Not having to keep kids occupied and stuff during the 3 months definitely helps budgeting wise. But we just always knew that we'd rather be sat at a beach eating a couple of cheese sandwiches as a picnic, than still back home working, waiting for a visa to be processed, Oh,
and you'll feel fantastic though, because those cheese sandwiches and that beach, that UV that you're going to get, even though it's winter, it's still not a winter like where you guys are from, especially being on the border of Scotland, mate. That's not a very fair winter, but yeah, no, it's good. And I think, I don't know, I really, I can see this working for you, just the way, even though the way that you worded that then, Ryan, as well, like, it's so much better to be sitting out there in the sun with a cheese sandwich and you get to chill, mate. How many times in your life can you actually stop work for a little bit and just go, you know what, I'm going to spend a bit of time on myself? And most people, you can't do that once you start getting into a rental or, getting into a mortgage and you start a job and everything like that. So I really hope you guys make the most of it and really get to see enough of WA and go for some walks. And for myself and the rest of the Down Under Centre team, thank you for being awesome clients of the DUC. And I really, I know that the Sunny Coast is going to work for you guys. So any last tips or comments you want to make before we call it a day?
Definitely make sure you bring some winter clothes because I've been freezing and I've had to buy trousers and a jacket.
Yeah, we've both had to buy a couple of hoodies and stuff because we didn't expect it to be as cold as well some days. But then other days it's that we've actually had
it is winter, and what you'll find is that I think we've had like quite a bit of a wet winter in WA. Is it cold and raining, or is it just been cold?
It has been raining, and it seems to be the days that the rain comes seems to bring the cold in.
I'm just grateful Christie said trousers, not pants, because there's a bit of a wording terminology that, like, I had to buy some pants. I noticed that, like, my wife was saying all the time, or like she'd laugh when someone said, "Oh, did you bring pants around?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, trousers, pants, different but the same. So, guys, just thank you again for making the time and all that. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Let's catch up in about a year or 6 months to a year and see how yous are going.
Perfect.
Cheers, everyone, for listening. And Ryan and Christie, all the best with your journey in Australia. Thank you again.
Thank you, Wes, and thanks to the rest of the DUC people. And Christie wants to especially thank
Patricia, because she's just so patient. And even with my stupid questions, she's still so patient. So we really appreciate that.
But you know what? Trisha's awesome. She's such a legend.
It's been great.
I don't think she listens to our podcast. But yeah, she should, because she's a legend. All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you on the next episode, and keep safe, everyone, and make your dreams happen. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.